Both webcams are running at 1080p and 30 frames per second, and we begin in a completely dark room, and the Creative V2 is going to bring in more light and it's going to be easier for you to be seen, but it does come with more noticeable grain and pixelation to the image. The V2 also looks to have better movement as well, with the C922 not quite getting the full 30 frames per second in the dark. Using natural light, and again the image quality is looking better on the V2. We did notice that when we moved away from the lens, then the V2 would jump in exposure. Movement again is looking good on both, but the V2 still looks a little crispier. Using a ring light in front of us, and again the Creative V2 is looking the better of the two, and its movement is still looking a little better. For this test, it seems as though the Creative V2 handles the exposure better than the Logitech C922, but remember that you can manually set the exposure to get a much better result, especially with the C922, and we will show you that later.
This is a microphone test from the Logitech C922 webcam. This is the kind of audio you can expect from the inbuilt microphone.
This is a quick audio test using the Creative Livecam V2. This is the kind of audio you can expect from the inbuilt microphone.
Focusing on a small object, and if you need to get really close to the lens, then the C922 is going to be the best bet. You will need to be a good 10 inches or so away for the Creative V2 to grab the focus. We did notice that the C922 was a little hit and miss when we moved sharply towards and away from the lens, with it struggling to regain the focus. And when we did this test, the colours on the Creative V2 do look a little weird. Removing a green screen, and the C922 does a better job with this, with the V2 struggling to completely remove that background. We're overexposed on both, and setting the exposure settings to manual removes a lot of the glow from our face, so you may have to have a mess around with the lighting to get a better result on the V2. Sitting in front of a ring light in a natural setting, and both of them struggled with the auto exposure, with us looking really washed out on both. But if you untick the auto exposure settings and set it manually, then you can get a much better image, so using the manual exposure is a must for both of these. So you've seen the footage from both, and at the time of this review, the C922 cost £65.99 and the Creative V2 cost £24.99. Which one do you think is the overall winner? Leave us a comment below with which one you think is the best.